The voice on that one. Here we are, opera fans, a review on, in my opinion, the Bohemian Rhapsody of 1950s biopics.
There's nothing more depressing than a solitary tramp.
Interrupted Melody. They even sound similar, don't they? Released by MGM in 1955, starring who should be top billed, Eleanor Parker, as Marjorie Lawrence, the real-life opera singer from Deans Marsh, southwest of Melbourne, Australia, who goes off to America to become a big opera star in the early 1930s. Perfect time for America, isn't it? She made her big-time debut at the Met, singing Brunhilde in Wagner's Die Walküre, and made the most of her great career popularizing Wagner's work. She meets osteopath and Christian Scientist
Dr. Thomas King.
Played here by upstaging dick, Glenn Ford. I'm sorry, is that a bit too forward? I don't care, but moving on. They fall in love, get married, and all is bliss. Until Marjorie all of a sudden is stricken with polio in 1941. Now, adapting to her new life in a wheelchair, thinking her career in life is over, you only hope she has the will to return to the stage with her new life. Because, as she says, she still has her voice. But can a wheelchair-bound woman still sing opera successfully on stage? And Wagner, for that point? Based on the autobiography by Marjorie herself, this film is very Hollywood, isn't it? For one, Marjorie was not consulted for the making of the film. Hence why the screenwriters William Ludwig and Sonia Levine did their own little treatment on Marjorie's life. Greer Garson, Katherine Grayson, Deborah Carr, and Lana Turner were sought for the lead role of Marjorie. But once Eleanor became an option, knowing how much she liked MGM versus her previous studio contracts like Warner Brothers and Paramount, Eleanor was the one. All the previous actresses left MGM, and Eleanor was super loyal. Eleanor would state that her performance as Marjorie Lawrence was her own personal favorite and best performance she's ever given. And we can all understand why. For better or for worse, she gives everything that she has into this role, except her own singing voice. That was dubbed by not Marjorie Lawrence herself again, but Eileen Farrell, another well-respected soprano. But she still gives everything else, well, except an Australian accent. Like, not even a whiff of it, which is usually just jarring to me. However, what Eleanor lacked in maybe the specific skills needed to portray Marjorie Lawrence inside out, she made up for it in oomph and a different direction in work ethic. Eleanor rented a cabin for herself to rehearse endlessly on the recordings of Marjorie Lawrence and Eileen Farrell, so she could get the breath support and the correct phrasing for each aria she would perform on screen. And the final product is quite masterful when you look at the art of lip syncing, which really is an art. I mean, look at all of our favorite drag queens out there. Lip syncing really does take work. She was so good for the opera scenes that because of her preparation, they were sometimes done in one take. Plus, when it comes to the intimate scenes that involve Eleanor to progress towards greatness as a star and then pushing herself to get back up on her emotional feet after her infliction, so to speak, Eleanor delivers with such power. I will admit, there are some scenes where Glenn is trying to just listen, really be there with Eleanor, but then everywhere else, he seriously just tries to steal her light, as we say. Glenn Ford, of course, was notorious for upstaging a lot of his co-stars, notably his female co-leads. And it's no different here, saying he would only do the film if he received top billing, which annoyed Eleanor to say the least, but she put up with it, stating herself how difficult Glenn was, because it was usually the Glenn show. But in the end, they do work fine together. Glenn still had great talent as an actor. I'm not gonna lie, he was still very talented. But you ask yourself, when is enough enough? That shit certainly wouldn't fly today, right? Now, Curtis Bernhardt's direction is just fine for the picture, though shot in CinemaScope, of course, where all the actors feel so damn far away from you, it's hard to connect with them. As beautiful as CinemaScope can be for certain pictures, I can't help but always want to be closer to our actors so we can really feel where they are in the narrative, how challenging it is for them of coping with new conflicts such as polio, for crying out loud. And Eleanor is equally great in those scenes. The writing is oozing with so much mozzarella that we have a regular dairy farm operating in front of us on screen. Much like Bohemian frickin' Rhapsody.
Now you give me a chance to get my bitchy little vocal cords in order. And we'll go and punch a hole through the roof of that stadium.
Actually, Wembley doesn't have a roof.
All right.
No, he's right, it doesn't.
Then we'll punch a hole in the sky.
Ugh. There's a time and place, yes, but not today. Spoilers if you hadn't seen it or know Marjorie's story, but I will say, it always does our heart good when our hero rises up and continues to keep going with her God-given talent and work ethic to achieve what she loves. And we do have a very fitting ending with Tristan und Isolde, which is by far the best of Wagner to show who's on top. Marjorie. The film earned 3 Academy Award nominations for Best Costume Design, which is still redundantly stupid because everything clearly looks like it's 1950s when it's supposed to be 1930s and 40s. Best Actress for Eleanor, deserved, and Original Screenplay, which won Best Original Screenplay of a True Story.
Fuck them and the horse they rode in on.
Marjorie wrote the film off, of course, as a clear and accurate story, so I guess you can get away with it being an original screenplay. But I mean, come on. Over Mr. Hulot's Holiday? Disagree. So yes, when it comes to musical biopics, it's such a manufactured one. But if anything positive, anything, a lovely manufactured product. It's like calling one of those little Debbie snack cakes a glorious inspiration for your blood pressure. Therefore, I give MGM's Interrupted Melody a C+.
This is the biggest night of my life.
It's Eleanor Parker that makes this film memorable, which you know she was very proud. But tell me, my opera-loving friends, do you agree? Have you seen Interrupted Melody? Let me know in those comments, like, share with all your friends, and stay tuned for many more serenading reviews to come your way. Thank you all so very much for watching, and yes, keep your spirits up, my friends. Sing out with all your might.